Bills this season, first 10 games, they were 5-5, but Stefon was averaging 87 yards a game. Last 6 games, 5-1. He's down to 38 yards a game. He's also on the field way less.
That bottom number is the most interesting.
He's on the field 72% of the time versus 87.
That's the most interesting.
All right, so Bruce, so can the Bills win without a monster performance from Stefon?
Yeah, I mean that graphic says it all. These 5 of these last 6 games they've won, 5 of their last 6. He hasn't had 50 yards in any of those games. The one game he did have 70-some-odd yards, they lost. In fact, this is interesting. Outside of the Miami game where they won 48-20, every other game where Diggs has scored a touchdown, they've lost.
Weird.
So I'm not saying I agree with what McDermott said. Like, he's valuable, even if he's not getting the targets and stuff, because the defense does have to pay attention to him because you know what type of threat he is. And if they loosen up on him and say he's not the same or they're not going to him, that's when you can strike. So I think the formula for Buffalo to win, Coach, is run game, obviously, or run often and effectively. Obviously, you got to play good defense. You need some timely plays by Josh Allen and clean, relatively, because clean for him is like
just
one turnover.
Just one turnover.
But clean, I think that's the formula. With or, Diggs, we'll see how he fits in, but that's the formula.
Yeah, and what you want to do with a guy like Diggs, and I'm sure what's happened and what they've not realized, but it happens consistently, is he's getting double teamed, and they're trying to take him out of the game. And if you force the ball into that receiver and you make bad decisions and throw into double coverage and create turnovers, that changes the game. And you don't want to. That's the danger with trying to force it to one guy. But they do need him, and they do need him involved, and they do need his energy, so you can script things. Usually the first 15 plays, it's not just scripting the play, it's scripting the people, a way to get Diggs the ball. And then you can formation ways to get Diggs the ball. But Diggs also needs to understand that if he is taken away, then that's really valuable to the rest of the team because it creates one-on-one matchups outside.
So here's, I think, what is the internal problem there, is Diggs has been getting doubled since he got there. Diggs has been, and Josh Allen is turning the ball over at basically the same rate every year since Diggs got there, except for the first one. And Diggs used to be the most targeted receiver in football, not that. One of the most productive receivers in football, not that. And it's not like, and now Josh is not turning the ball over. Nope, still doing it. And so there is a level of, I've been getting this coverage, I've been getting these looks. I used to get the ball more than I do now. It is correct that they are winning. I don't think they are winning because they're not giving Diggs the ball. And that's why I think this. I think we got a coin flip chance this is Stefon Diggs' last game as a Bill. Because I think he had a coin flip chance of missing the playoffs. Like, this is what I find so interesting about this specific game. The Pittsburgh game is Saturday. And if I assume Jacksonville is going to beat Tennessee Sunday morning, we'll see if they do or not. But let's just, if Pittsburgh loses Saturday afternoon, Buffalo's in even with a loss. If Pittsburgh loses, I think Buffalo's chances of beating Miami go way up. I think if Buffalo is in the playoffs and you're just playing for seeding, I think their chances of beating the Dolphins and being the 2 seed go way up. If they see the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Baltimore backups and they have 24 hours with that team, with that head coach, with that quarterback and the, call it very, very fine line of emotional stability that team's been walking all year, has 24 hours to think about, if we lose, our season's over. I do not think they will rise to the challenge. And I think if early in the game it's not going well, I think you will see it from Stefon Diggs. I think you will see it on the sideline. I think that if they have locked up their playoff spot, they can play relatively free and easy and maybe win the game. If Pittsburgh wins on Saturday and they go to bed knowing, if we lose this game, our season's over, I do not like Buffalo's chances.
But they've been playing with that for weeks.
Yeah, that's
they've
the
been
thing.
playing that
and
for
I don't
months
think they
where
play well at all, Coach.
But they beat Kansas City and Dallas.
But they're consistently winning, right? So to say they're not playing well, yet they're winning like they're winning, and to say that having 24 hours of knowing that they could be out of the playoffs will be the difference, they've had multiple weeks where they could easily be out of the playoffs.
Well, except so they, when this streak started, they probably needed to go either 5-0 and definitely be in, or 4-1 with the one being in Miami. They had a game potentially to play with, and we now know that that was true. I thought they played great against Dallas. Great, undeniably. I think the last 2 weeks, and I know you agree with me, Wilds, about this past week, I think they played very poorly. I think they were incredibly fortunate to win each of those games. In the Patriot game, the 4 turnovers in the first quarter and a half made it a miracle that the Patriots were in it. I'm very interested to see how they look at the beginning of this game if their season's over. Okay. The Chiefs are locked into the 3. Theoretically, there are 5 teams that could be the 6. They are, in no order, Pittsburgh, Indy, Houston, Miami, Buffalo. Those are the 5 teams. Miami's the one I'd least like to play. I think that's obvious. You've got the Tyreek Hill factor, which is scary for any team, even though the Chiefs, he talked that trash and then the game-turning play was his mistake. That almost makes him scarier, to be totally honest. Also, the only way they can play Miami is if Miami has lost 2 in a row. So now all of it, you can say that's a slumping team. It would also be a team like, God dog it. Our season is going to end in total travesty if we just lose 3 in a row to end the year and are one and done in the playoffs. So if I were ranking them, Brew, with respect to Gardner Minshew, the Colts would be my first draft pick. The Steelers would be my second draft pick. The Bills third. Houston fourth because of CJ.
Houston
and Miami
fourth?
I wouldn't have Houston ahead of Buffalo.
I know nobody would but me, but Buffalo's not going to Kansas City in January and winning a playoff game. They're just not.
I would put Buffalo
but
ahead of
Miami would be last.
I think Miami's dangerous. I'd probably pick Kansas City in that game, but I think Miami is dangerous. But I think Buffalo will be even more dangerous because Buffalo, as we've said yesterday, their biggest loss of the season margin-wise has been 6 points. They don't get blown out. They're going to be in the game. Now, I agree, for them to, beat Kansas City a second time this year, maybe that would be odd.
The only way they can be playing Buffalo is if Buffalo loses a game that they go into as a playoff game. You understand?
But with Buffalo, it doesn't. I mean, you don't know. I mean, they could look awesome.
You get the bounce back.
Right. So, but to answer I do think Miami is clearly dangerous against Kansas City because they had a chance to beat them last time. And as you said, Tyreek, knowing he kind of cost them the game, he probably come out with a vengeance.
And they're probably not going to be able to shut them out in the first half like they did in Germany. And then you have the mistake that they have. That's probably not going to happen either. And it's the catch and run ability of the Dolphins, which is so scary because as good as Kansas City's defense has been, it's the team where they catch a 2-yard slant and it goes for 80. That's hard to account for from a scheme perspective, and it's a little bit of a variable that you can't figure out when it's going to strike.
Yeah. I don't think Waddle is supposed to be back. He's not going to be 100%.
Waddle might play this week.
Oh, is he? I thought he was
Waddle might
out.
play. They're trying to get him to play this week.
And they average 5 yards a carry too.
Listen, I think the Chiefs in Arrowhead are a good bet against anybody in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I also think I would be lying to the audience, which I never do.
No.
Never.
Miami was in contention 12 days ago, which in Wild's math is 6.5 weeks, oddly, for the number 1 seed. Playing them in round 1 would be unfortunate. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.